In our 22 years experience in this business, especially the last 10 years in tree preservation, one of the characteristics that we have seen from repeated nitrogen fertilizer applications in people's designed ecosystems, their yards, on their lawns, is that when it rains, all of this fertilizer washes into the beds. It washes into the border areas and fertilizes the trees and bushes unnecessarily. It's really interesting because we'll ask our customers, are you fertilizing your trees and bushes? And they'll say no. And we have to correct them by saying, well, how many applications of fertilizer did your lawn care people put down this year? And they'll name them. Sometimes it's 1, sometimes it's 2. We've had as many as 4 or 5 applications per year. And what it does is stimulates unnecessary growth and length of the limbs that makes them prune and maintain and spend money from cash flow for maintenance that just runs counter to the cheap to keep concept. The cheap to keep definition is a tree, bush, or turf that can maintain itself with its own resources within a designed ecosystem of balance. And when we stimulate with this harsh, direct, immediately available nitrogen fertilizer, it goes counter to that by stimulating all of this growth, most of which you have to pay to cut off and prune. And so we would much prefer to redirect that energy to the necessary areas of root and shoot development, disease resistant, and let the tree with its own internal resource allocation select what they need to spend their resources on. We've given you a substantial number of reasons why biostimulants are more appropriate for a cheap to keep trees and landscape. One that gets a little cheaper with less risk and less money to maintain it each year. It's unlikely that the price of housing is suddenly going to start to go back up again anytime in the very near future. We hope it'll stop going down in 2012 and maybe start its return to a rate of appreciation. But the new paradigm that we're after is cheap to keep, because if you can offer a home for resale that costs the people coming into it less to live in, if it's more cooperative in support of their lifestyle and improves their health, wealth, safety, and security, then the cheap to keep trees and landscape protocol is ideally made for you to promote in order to cure the lost business that went away from you in the downturn. And a healthy ecosystem, always remember this, will be self-regulating and able to fend off insect and disease conditions, extreme weather, and other stresses upon it better than a landscape that has been manipulated with chemicals where you have to come back and apply equal or greater amounts of chemical as you go. And one last parting shot for chemical stimulation. I told you that nitrogen and nitrogen stimulation, chemical stimulation from urea, ammonium urea, makes the leaves come out green and full. That is food for the insects. There is a huge amount of research that has emerged that indicates that that kind of fertilization stimulates those insect populations. So you must be prepared to deal with that on that level if you're putting out lots of nitrogen-based fertilizers. And so biostimulants is slower, it's gentler, and it builds gradually over a longer period of time and will support the cheap to keep trees and landscapes protocol in a unique manner that you cannot get any other way.